It's that time of the year.
Tax time.
It's tax time. It's the exciting time of the year.
And we want to talk about 2015 IRS tax brackets. And the first thing we want to say is they don't mean what you think they mean.
They never do, because there's hidden tax brackets. They're not showing. They're leading you down this road that's just not right. It's not telling you what you might need to know.
Exactly. As if the IRS is not confusing enough. Let's make something that should be relatively simple also confusing.
Indeed.
And now, so what do you mean by that? That they're not what you think they mean?
Well, people want to know, well, what's my IRS tax bracket? Well, people are thinking about, well, when they're thinking that, they're implying, I want to know what my federal income tax is, right? Yeah. But that's not everything you pay to the IRS. You pay a lot of other things, a lot of other wonderful things. You pay Social Security. That's a tax, and that goes on your tax return, and you're paying it, okay? It counts. It's still there.
They took the money.
They took the money, right. It's on your federal income tax return. There's also your Medicare, which is on there. And then, we have these lovely Obamacare surcharges of 3.8% that and 0.09% that may or may not come into play.
Yep.
So that's there. And then if you're extra special, you get an entirely different type of tax bracket. And that is, there's two different AMT, alternative minimum tax brackets of 26 or 28%. And then...
But wait.
There's more in the package. Now, if we talk about your federal income taxes, you have a federal income tax rate on ordinary income, but a different rate if it is a different type of income, if it's long-term capital gain, something held over a year, or it's a dividend. But not a dividend if it's from a schedule, not a dividend if it's from a S Corp, because that's ordinary income, but it doesn't get taxed at Medicare and your self-employment for most of it.
Are these all plugins for TurboTax? Or is this a little above and beyond?
I just hope we're highlighting the absurdity of this entire premise,
yes,
of the ridiculousness of it. This is not how it's done around the world, people. This is unique. This is not necessary. I think the quote is, taxes are the price we pay for a civilized society. No. Taxes are the reason why society isn't civilized. This is utter nonsense. And we do have, and by the way, the big fight we had years ago was that they wanted to impose that top rate. The top rate was at 35%. And then some people felt that wasn't enough. So we needed that 39.6%. So that's been around, since 2012? Really? God, time flies. So that's been around that 39.6. But as we mentioned in our podcast, our last episode, these tax rates don't even mean anything in a way, because what are you allowed to expense to get to that number can mean so much more.
Exactly.
And with the PATH Act, a lot of this just goes out the window. You could say, well, I can expense this so I can reduce my income this year. So I don't care what it is. I'm going to go with the lowest rate. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to pay this anyway. So when you're trying to, and this is sort of the thing people want to know, I owe 150, or I make $150,000. What tax bracket am I in? Okay, well, that's an easy thing to answer, but it doesn't tell you anything. Because we do have the brackets up. There's a link. You'll see the link to the tax brackets, and that's really easy to answer. But it doesn't tell you what your taxes are going to be due. And it doesn't give you any way to plan for it, because it's not telling you all the information. It's not telling you, oh, by the way, if you're self-employed, there's a 15.3% self-employment tax that's there. And how do you know about that? It doesn't tell you anywhere on here.
No.
And you're like, well, I only set aside, this is, and if you're self-employed, you're setting aside far too little.
You have to pay quarterly.
Yes.
IRSMedic, the law offices of Parent & Parent, LLP. Real tax attorneys for tough tax problems.